Hey my Hallokweens, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley for any of those that are new, and if you're not new, welcome back. Today is Vlogoween day 19, and today, oh my god, this is crazy. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the Shadow Man. And I'm not going to be doing like a video like talking about other people's experience with it and things like that, but today I'm going to be talking about my very own experience with the Shadow Man. If you are a close friend of mine or a family member, then you probably have heard me talk about it before, and of course Joey and my brother's actually experienced it too. But I'm just gonna go over like where it started and where it hopefully ended recently, actually this year. Now if you heard anything about the Shadow Man, you might have heard about shadow people. There's different terms they also say the Hat Man. Usually most of the time people have said it's a man figure. Also some people say that the origin of shadow people is from your soul. Like some people say it's like the bad part of your soul. Some people say it's like a coping mechanism whenever you're alone in the dark. You think someone's there, to comfort you, and then some people think it's a bad thing. Also, sometimes people say the Shadow Man is a fear that people have based off of old murderers and people like that. But to some people, it's just something they see in their dreams, that they see out of their peripheral vision. And a lot of people say it's just something that people are just always paranoid, especially in the dark. And then some people also believe it like as a demon or an entity as well. This is so weird to like actually explain this to you guys. I don't want to come off as crazy or anything, but I mean I have told people about it before, and there's other things I'm going to talk about as well. But for me, it started about 6 years ago. I want to say maybe 5, when me and Joey was like first into our relationship. One day I was on the phone with him in my parents' house. And you have the doorway to like walk in, then you have the living room, and then if you go to the right, there's a hallway that goes to my room and my brother's room. Well, when you're walking into the living room, into the kitchen, you can see down the hallway and see right into my room. And I'm on the phone with Joey and we're talking, and I go to walk into the kitchen. I look to the right and I just see this tall black shadow figure, and I'm telling you, it's so tall. Like what some people say, like, oh, it could be a lamp, oh, it could be this. No, like I'm telling you, it could almost touch the ceiling. It was so tall. And I didn't have colored walls, so it was like white walls behind it. So it wasn't like anything that could be there that maybe my eyes just wasn't catching up and wasn't focusing on an object. It was there plain as day, and it was nerve-wracking. Like I was gonna call the cops. I was freaking out. I screamed on the phone whenever I saw it, and I was on the phone with Joey, and I was like, there's someone in the house. And I checked and I looked around. I ran outside, and then whenever I went back in, there was no one there. I don't know what happened. I don't know what it was, but it was absolutely terrifying. So that was the first time I actually saw the Shadow Man. After the day I was on the phone with Joey and I saw the Shadow Man in the corner of my room, one night Joey was spending the night with me at my parents' house, and we were sleeping. This is like in the middle of the dead night. We started hearing growling, and it was my dog, well, our family dog, Max, and Little Man. They were at the doorway of my bedroom, staring out into the living room and growling like they were terrified. Like they're growling, they were backing up into my room, and it freaked me and Joey out so bad. They never do stuff like that, so it was really weird at the time for them to be doing that. And I'm telling you, like their hairs were like standing up. They looked like they were about to attack something or someone. I don't know what it was. And we went and looked in the living room and we didn't see nothing. So that was another night that was pretty terrifying for us. I'm not trying to like scare you guys by talking about this, by the way. I just thought it would be probably like the perfect time to like talk to you guys about my experience and why it's like terrifying. But it was after the night with the dogs when I started to experience sleep paralysis with the Shadow Man. Now this is not my first experience with sleep paralysis. but it was the first experience of sleep paralysis, seeing the shadow man. And whenever it would happen, it would be the shadow man was watching over me while I was sleeping, just standing there for hours. So whenever it would happen, it would feel like it was hours and hours, and I would feel like I did not get any sleep at all. And it would just be this shadow figure, this really tall shadow figure just staring at me while I'm sleeping. If you already know, I have insomnia, so I don't get enough sleep as it is, and it's hard for me to stay asleep. So whenever I'm dealing with sleep paralysis and there's a shadow figure standing over me, just staring at me, and I'm staring at it for hours, it's like you get no sleep at all kind of deal. This would go on, and it would usually happen like once a week. Sometimes it would go longer than a week, and then I started to experience out-of-body experience. If you guys don't know what out-of-body experience is, it's when you are in a state and you're not in your own body, kind of like when you're watching yourself do something while you're sleeping. So it's like sleep paralysis, but it's out of your body. You're watching your own body kind of deal. And I started experiencing that. So I was no longer just dealing with sleep paralysis. I was also having an out-of-body experience at night. So whenever I started to experience the out-of-body experience that I was having, it was me watching the shadow man over my body, watching and staring at it for hours while I'm sleeping. And there's nothing like I could do about it. Now, once again, I've dealt with sleep paralysis before, and usually when you're in a sleep paralysis state, you can't move, you can't talk. You're talking, but like physically you can't do nothing. You feel like you're wide awake, but you can't move, you can't talk, you can't scream, and it's really crazy. So to be out of your body and watching this tall figure staring at you for hours, it's terrifying. And then once it started progressing from there, it was the shadow man was moving. He was standing, he was sitting, he was standing on top of me, he was sitting on top of me. And then it started progressing to where, like, nights he would move around, he would watch me from different angles, move around my bed, and then he would start pulling out a gun and pointing at me. And it would just, him be, like, there for hours, like, his arm reached out, the gun pointing at me, and this would just go on and on for hours. And then he would put the gun up, and then he would just stare at me, he would move to a different position, and he would just watch me sleep for hours. And there was nothing I could do about it besides watch my body, like, just sit there and do nothing. So that was my out-of-body experience, and I was still experiencing this even after I moved out of my parents' house in 2000. What year did I move? And even when I moved out of my parents' house in 2018 and me and Joey got our own house, I was still experiencing this out-of-body experience. And that was pretty crazy. And then finally, one day, I opened up to my brother while we were sitting in my kitchen here at our house. And we were talking about paranormal stuff. And this all led up to me and Joey, we have our own house. So even though I was having the out-of-body experience in me and Joey's house, I don't know why it was at our house, but one day I was in the kitchen with my brother because the kitchen is connected to the living room, and we were watching paranormal stuff because we love paranormal stuff. I love watching everything about it, learning about it. And one day we were talking about paranormal things that we've experienced, and I told my brother about the shadow man. You guys aren't gonna believe this, it's so freaking crazy, but my brother, like, right when I was talking about it, he was like, "You saw that too?" What do you mean, did you see that too? Like, what do you mean? And I'm like asking him, I'm like, "What do you mean you saw this too?" And he's like, "I saw it too." He's like, "I saw it at mom and dad's. It's in the corners." And I was like, and he's like, "You're talking about like a really tall shadow, like extremely tall, like touching the ceiling tall?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, I seen it too." So that was enough confirmation for me to like be like, oh my god, I'm not crazy. And he wasn't telling me if he's experienced dreams or anything with the shadow man, but just that he's seen it at mom and dad's house was like even more crazier for me. So finding out that he also experienced seeing the shadow man comforted me, but at the same time made me like nervous about my parents' house. But he did say he did not see it recently, which I don't know if that means it followed me to me and Joey's house, and I would still have these out-of-body experiences at night. So now I'm telling you this timeline because all of this started 5 years ago and slowly led up to a couple of months ago. Which a couple of months ago, I want to say it was August? I want to say it was late August. I don't know, Amanda still has the picture, which she is my brother's girlfriend. This is so scary. Okay, I can do this. Okay, so back in August, I believe it was August, one night I'm at my parents' for D&D, which if you guys know what D&D is, it's Dungeons and Dragons. I know I'm lame, but it's so much fun actually. We were playing Dungeons and Dragons and Joey calls, and usually when he calls I'll go outside on the porch so I'm not rude to everyone inside. I'm not rude to him by it being loud. And I go out on the porch and he's like, hey. And I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, how's work? You know, because he was out of town. And usually he calls me when he gets to the hotel. And he's like, I just want to tell you, I don't want to alarm you or like scare you, but last night I had a nightmare about the shadow man. Joey's never had a nightmare about it, never seen him, nothing like that. So, like, that was crazy. And it's going to get crazier because I'm going to tell you everything in a minute. But he told me he had this nightmare, and we were living in this big house with Donnie and Sadie and the kids, our niece and nephew, which at one point they were our roommates. So he said we all had this really big house, and then we had our own huge room with a little cutout area that had our bed. And he said he was saying goodnight to everyone. I was already in bed and he was walking into the room. Well, right where you see the bed, you see this huge punched out hole in the wall, like really huge wires. You can see all of like the insulation and stuff from the wall and the wood and all the insides of what like builds a wall. He could see all of it. And then all of a sudden he sees the shadow man. And he sees this shadow man stand up. And he said he was so tall, it was so terrifying. So he said he went to grab me. And he's carrying me out of the room. And well, in the room, when you leave, there's a hallway that leads out. And he said when he went to turn around to go down the hallway, he looked back and he saw the shadow man standing there like he was about to run at Joey. And he said he was so tall, and he said he was so dark and so scary that it woke him up. And he said, I'd never been so scared in a nightmare and also so scared waking up. Which he's had other nightmares about me before. So whenever he told me this, it made me tear up, honestly. It made me start to cry because I also had a nightmare, out-of-body experience about the shadow man the same night. So for that to happen, and I'm not telling you like, oh, I dream about, you know, the shadow man all the time. Like, no, this is very seldom, especially when we moved into the house. I was not having, you know, nightmares about the shadow man weekly or anything. It would be like once a month, every few weeks kind of deal. It wouldn't be all the time. Sometimes it would be 2 months. So for it to happen to be the same night that me and Joey both had a nightmare about him, I wanted to cry because I was home alone because Joey was he was out of town, obviously. So luckily I told my brother and I told Amanda, which Justin also saw the shadow man. So he was like, yeah, we'll spend the night, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, tomorrow we got to go to a crystal shop and we got to get some sage and we got to clean the house. because I can't do this. So luckily my brother was nice enough to spend the night with me, and of course Amanda spent the night with me as well, and it made me feel a lot better about being home by myself. So the next morning, me and Amanda, we actually went to the crystal shop and we got some sage. It came with sage, rose oil, a tea light candle, and different things, and told you what to do. You know, think good thoughts, make sure you tell the bad thoughts, the bad negative energy to go away, and make sure you get every corner of the house, make sure you clean the house before you do it. So we did all that, and everything felt good. Like I haven't had a nightmare about the Shadow Man since. Joey hasn't had a nightmare, and the overall energy of the house felt really great. And we didn't see anything. Justin hasn't said anything about dreaming about the Shadow Man or seeing the Shadow Man, but now like the house is starting to feel eerie again. So that's the only scary thing that's been going on. But yeah, that is my experience with the Shadow Man, and just I wanted to explain to you guys what was going on with me instead of like showing you guys someone else's experience. I felt it would be good, and this was a perfect time to talk to you about my experience. So if you guys have ever experienced anything with shadow people or the Shadow Man, please let me know down below in the comments. As always, you can always DM me if you have any questions, or if you want to talk to me about your experience but you don't want everyone to know. That's totally understandable, because it's something that's so crazy. And I thought I was going crazy with my own sleep paralysis and my out-of-body experience, and just it's like something that's really crazy. I don't know what it is. At first, for a while, I didn't think that it had any bad intentions, but then it started holding out a gun while I was sleeping, and just the overall feeling that I started getting my nightmares about the Shadow Man, and also the nightmare that Joey had. It was just really awful energy, and it was just really scary energy. So I did not feel like the Shadow Man really had any normal good intentions, or just, you know, watching over me intentions. So yeah, so if I end up ever like dreaming about the Shadow Man again or seeing him, I will of course update you guys, because now you know, and now like the whole world knows what I've experienced, which is, it's so crazy. I don't want you guys to think I'm crazy or anything, but I'm not gonna not be honest with you guys and tell you guys something that goes on with my life. And no, I don't think this is rooted from me watching scary movies or playing any scary games, because honestly, like, the movies with like shadow people at the time suck. So like, and this started years ago. Like, I want to say like 5 years ago is when it first started. So, but definitely I would suggest, if you're dealing with something like this and it's bad energy and you want to cleanse the energy in your house, I would suggest going to like a local crystal shop and getting some sage and just cleansing your house. Honestly, like, I feel that is the best thing you do. Or just whatever religion you have, just make sure your faith is really strong and just keep good energy around you, and you should be fine. But yeah, that is my Shadow Man experience, you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, even though it's just me rambling on, telling you guys a story. I hope I explained it well enough with the timeline. And of course, I would love to hear you guys' feedback on it. And if you guys have had your own experiences, go ahead. If you need to DM me, go ahead and DM me, or leave a comment down below. So if you guys like this video, give me a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've ever experienced something like this, or if you want to know about any more experiences, any other scary stories or anything like that, or if you want to know like more about the origin of the shadow people, then go ahead and just let me know down below. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because there'll be another video here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. that is it, you guys. I love y'all so much. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!